Welcome to the round table. I am Jennifer Eller, and with me today is our co-host and the famous Mike Hill here, who
co-host.
Yeah, co-host
Yes.
and man of all things. And then we have the famous and
That's
most
even
interesting
more famous.
Kendall Pitts today.
More famous.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Come on, tell me that in your stomping grounds that not everybody doesn't know you.
Well,
Uh,
I know. Yeah, I know a lot of people in my stomping ground.
That's what I'm
but
saying.
I've always lived within about 2 or 3 miles of where I live now my whole life.
no, I
mean,
know, but if you go into restaurants, everybody's going to be like, "Hey, it's Kendall." Are you like
Yeah,
one of
I
those?
know a
Are you
lot
like
of
one of those
people.
old people that go to the same place all the time?
well, I go to McDonald's every morning.
So you're
with
part
my
of the
buddy.
old people McDonald's coffee
Thanks,
group.
buddy.
No, I'm just saying. Listen, this is what happens. This is what happens when you get old. Like you go to McDonald's at like 8:00 in the morning. Doesn't matter what
Yeah.
community you're in, and there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
group of old men sitting around talking about things.
Yeah. We solve a lot of problems. Yeah.
Tell me, what would be a big topic at the round table at McDonald's? Like what's a hot button topic you guys have been talking
Well,
about?
you know, politics is always going to be a hot button topic, and
So do all of your round table guys love Donald Trump?
no, not necessarily.
What?
No.
You should probably change groups then.
Well, we're trying to change people's mind instead of change our groups. You know, I mean, but no, not all of them are. Not all of them have the same. Matter of fact, we got one guy that comes, man. He's dead set against conservatives.
Really?
So, and he don't get much.
How do you get invited
slack.
into this club?
You just walk in and buy your coffee, man.
That's it?
Okay.
It's not special invitation?
There's no price for the seats.
Yeah.
You just come sit down, man.
I wonder where the old ladies group is. Like when you're an old lady, Jennifer, where are you going to sit?
I have no idea. That's a long ways away.
I'm just thinking. Does your
I'm
wife have
only
an old
20.
ladies group?
Oh no, my wife, she stays home and she just loves to work around the house when it's cold, or if it's warm out, she's out in her flowers. I mean, she's way more energetic than I am. I hope she don't watch this and say, well, I'm mad at Mike showing me an old lady when I go to the old ladies group.
I'm just saying, like, a different age than me, right?
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
you want to call them. Older, further along in age. How old are you?
75.
Yeah, I mean, you about outlived your age expectancy already.
Hey,
Look at that.
when I quit drinking, somebody said, "Well, your age expectancy just went up 10 years."
Well, isn't that the truth? Like, isn't like an average age of Americans like 70 something?
I have no idea what the average age is now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's something like I
think
every
our,
day's a gift.
Our coffee group averages from our 89 down to, I suppose 73 is the youngest that comes right now, probably.
So, but none of those are really considered old.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just call it something else.
You know, that's the thing. I you do get older, but that's something I've enjoyed coming to church here, because I do feel like I'm one of the older ones. You know, when we had that group here in the fall, there were a couple ladies in there probably about my age, I would guess, or so.
Right.
But for the most part, there's a lot of young people here, and I really enjoy that. It makes me feel younger,
Right.
I think.
Well, and you can bring wisdom.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
With years comes perspective and wisdom.
Well, I've tried to tell you that, and you haven't listened to me.
What do you give me one thing that you've told me?
Well, I questioned you one day about what you said in your service.
Okay,
about-
tell me what it was.
It was about not everybody's going to know some things about you that nobody will ever know.
Because
Didn't we talk about that?
Because why? Why will nobody know?
because you're not telling them.
Because you spend time with God with
what
that and
you
not share with other
said-
people,
you
right?
You said, well, I've just been through a lot, and there's some things that people are not going to know about me, and I jumped your hind end about it because it's like that's not good. And I believe that. I truly believe that. And I believe if there's one thing that I can give to people, and you know that as well as I do in Bible study, and I don't mean this braggingly, because AA helped me get to that point. And if I don't share it, that could be the thing that gets me drunk again. I mean, it's been a long time now, but it is, and I'm a firm believer that you need to find somebody to share it with. I don't care. And I told you, I said, I'm 25 years older than you. And I know, you told me I know a little more in my wisdom.
Listen,
I'm a firm believer that I don't care if you go find a stranger on a park bench and tell them. You need to tell somebody. It's just, it is. A concern shared is a concern cut in half.
right.
I believe that.
Yeah, and I think I said this back to you. So there are certain things so this is even in my marriage, right? So married to Sherry all those years, and even with Sarah now. I mean, there are certain things I'm never going to share. I'm going to take it to God. I'm going to write it in my journal. I'm going to bear that burden with him or give him that burden, because there are just certain things that you're probably right. I'm just saying this is how I deal with it, but there are just certain things I'm not going to burden you with, and I'm not going to burden my wife with.
That ain't right.
I didn't say, I'm just telling you, that was probably what I told you that I do.
Yeah, but I still didn't agree with it.
You don't have to.
If there's things in your marriage, then maybe you need to go outside of your marriage. I got different buddies that I talk different things to.
Right.
And I've been blessed with good friends in my life, and I don't know how from my drinking days. And I always told my boys, I said, man, if you got five true good friends that you can talk about anything to, you're lucky.
Yeah.
And I believe that. And I have people, hey, if I'm mad at my wife, I got a buddy, I just call him up, and maybe we haven't talked for a couple of weeks. He said, what'd she do now? She knows I'm going to call Rich, and I'm going.
Yeah.
And she knows if Rich calls me and we're sitting there at the house and she figures it out, Rich, what'd Marcia do?
Yeah, and I would say again,
That's true.
yeah, no, I would say that, well, two things. I don't think it's very common for men to have good friends. Like, I don't think that's a common thing.
Well, if it's not common, then I'm uncommon because I've been lucky enough to have some good
Nick, do you think that
really-
is? Do you think it's common for guys to have close friends?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I think you are uncommon. I think that to have a group of guys that you have camaraderie with, that you share things with, that you can talk to about deeper subject. Like, I just think that's rare. Because aren't women better at it? Do you guys know?
Oh, I'm sure we are. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, do you have close friends? Yeah.
Yep. I've got like 3
Yeah.
really good close, and I have some other ones that
And
are.
you have the one just like him, you'll call about Eric and be like, what do you do now?
No.
Well, you
no.
need one.
I do have conversations about things, but I don't call people. It's not like that. I would not. No, that's not. Not doing that.
I don't want to stay mad. I want to get it off my chest, and that goes back to AA. I learned that, and that's just the way it saved my life, you know. And I knew I had to share things, and so I've continued to do that. If it's weird for a man to do that, it's weird. But
I didn't say weird.
I don't want to carry the burden.
No. Well, I mean, I hope you didn't hear me say weird.
No,
I just
I
would
know,
say uncommon. I think that, I just think that those the idea that a man will have friends. Now, I think they have a lot of buddies, which I think is different. Like, I think there
Oh,
are a lot of
yeah.
guys that have
Completely
buddies.
different.
Lots of buddies, people they can hang out with. If you want to go hunt and call your buddy. If you want to go golf and call your buddy. But having, like, friends is different. Like, I just view that differently. And I think that's uncommon. I think guys have lots of buddies they can call on and very few friends.
But I think since I've started going to the Sunday school class with Lance and Roger and even Ted, I don't know if I've had anything to do with it because I'm too stupid. I just can't keep my mouth shut. And I think my openness, I'll say where I've been. Okay, just that's it. I've been through a lot, and that most of it was because I self-inflicted.
Right.
But I don't have a problem telling them guys, and with 3 or 4 of the guys in our Sunday school class, I think we've got a vulnerability in. And I hope they wouldn't mind me saying this, but Lance and Roger and I have talked about things that, and
Right.
I think you have to get to that point to have that vulnerability where you trust somebody that much.
Well, and I think that's the key, though. Like, whether this is right or wrong, like, I hardly trust anyone. I mean, for lots of different reasons, but yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but I think I've shared this on the podcast before, is that, yeah, I mean, the longer it goes, the fewer people I trust. You know, the longer it goes, the fewer people that I tend to bare your heart to, you know, because, yeah, I mean, but I think I'm saying you're right. We should trust, we should be vulnerable, we should do all of those things. I just don't, it's cool that you could get there, because I just don't think and I could be an anomaly. I just don't think there's a lot of guys that want to.
I think you're right. I think it's something God's given me. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's your gift.
A gift. But I would hope that by me being an open book, that maybe that'll help somebody else. Because I don't want to see anybody bear those things.
Right.
It's not necessary.
Right.
But we have to get. Before I came to church here, I was in a Sunday school class at Friends Church, and it was a small group, 6 or 7 of us, and it wasn't all men. It was 2 or 3 ladies that I'm good friends with, and 2 or 3 guys. But we got vulnerable to the point we could talk pretty much about. I mean, we really talked about some deep stuff.
Right.
And that was good. If I really missed one thing from that church is that group. But
Right.
I feel like now I have Lance and Roger and Ted, Herb,
Yeah, Herb Gass, yep.
Dan. Now we got some new people in there, and I think they even kind of have felt that vulnerability because some of them have opened up about things in their life. The last couple of weeks, Lance has been having people give a testimony. And I think they've been pretty open with it. And I think it helps them. I hope it does. And we kind of give some feedback. Glad to hear their story, but I don't think it was something that's going to just open up to anybody about. So
Right.
I think they have a feeling that, hey, I can say something in here without coming back on me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jennifer, do you guys see you've done tons of different small groups. Do you see inside of the small groups that you do, is vulnerability easy? Is vulnerability hard? Is it, like, what do you see whenever you get in groups?
I mean, I think it takes a little bit of time to get there. But yeah, when you do, it's a beautiful thing, you know, when people realize, like, the stories, you know, sharing stories, it's like, to realize you're not alone, or the things that you've done. It's like there's people who have walked that journey with you, or So, yeah, I think that's really, really cool that you guys are doing that. And
Well, I
And
think it talks about,
that's the good stuff.
right, and that's what I'm
know?
saying. That kind
Yeah.
of talks about the power of a small group.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, learning something is one thing. What you're talking about, which is interesting to me. So when you're talking about what changed you, because that's the thing that I'm always interested in is what are the moments of life or what are the things of life that I call them, you put down these markers and then you're going to go back and say, you like you said with your small group, that was a marker in your life. Something happened in that small group that changed you from a vulnerability to the people you could share, right? Like it.
Well, it really started with AA though. For me,
Okay,
to
so
get
AA was
sober.
one of those,
Yeah,
but they're markers,
yeah.
and then you're seeing those happen, and it's
Yeah.
carrying on, but it's consistent. So for you, vulnerability and relationship, AA, first small group, second small group, things that are happening in the future have all happened through community and vulnerability,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a trend. And I think that's probably true in a lot of places that community, finding people that you can surround yourself with, and the ability to go deeper than just, hey, what's up?
Oh yeah,
You know.
Yeah, and you're probably right. Most men probably don't do that. I guess I'm just lucky that I built that foundation with some people. Man, I don't know what I'd do without it.
Right.
I'm glad to have it.
Well, but I think isn't some of what, because again, you say you go clear back to the AA days. So
Well, yeah.
why don't you tell us a little bit about, so in your life, because I can't remember this. Did you grow up in a church? Didn't grow up in a church?
Yeah, I grew up in a church, little church that my family physically built. My uncle gave the ground for it. My dad and two of my uncles, my grandfather, and some other men built it. I mean, actually built it. And
that was in Liberty Mills or Liberty Center?
No, this is just down south of 114 on your road. Like
Okay.
if you was going that little church right before you get to 114 there.
Okay.
It's called Bible Baptist Church, and it was just our family basically started it with some other people, and I grew up in it, and it was it was very legalistic.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it was the old, if you smoke a cigarette or you drink a beer, you're going to hell, and
Right.
there wasn't,
Right.
you know, there wasn't any other stuff. So,
But your parents took you to church every Sunday?
oh yeah, if the doors were open, we were there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So what was but again, I mean, was it your dad died? Like, what was the
My dad
trigger?
died.
Like, yeah, I mean, when you were young, right?
yeah, he died on my 18th birthday,
Right.
and that was devastating because he was the one. You know,
Right.
I mean, he was disciplinarian, but he's a great dad. I mean, he backed me if I was right, you know, and he was
Right.
always involved in my sports. He loved sports, and he was always right there, and you know, he was the one that could say, you know, he might not see me when I was doing some stuff. You
Right.
know, he didn't tell Mom he caught me sneaking into the movie because he knew I
Yeah.
didn't need the whole family preaching to me for a week about sneaking in the back door of the movie in North
Right.
Manchester and stuff.
Right.
No, he is super, but
Right.
if I had it coming, I was going to get it. You
Right.
know, I was the only kid too. There wasn't anybody else to share it with.
Okay.
And,
you were an only child?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
See,
that.
that's part of the problem, I guess. But yeah, and then he passed away on my 18th birthday, and for the next 20 years, I was just drunk. Yeah.
I mean, did it just to help everybody understand? Like, you'd never drank before, or were you drinking?
I drank a little bit in high
Right.
school. You know, if you was an athlete or something, you had to sneak around, smoke a few cigarettes, and drink a few beers. Just
That was
'cause
part of the in
that
club?
was- well, that
Kind of like we were talking about last
Yeah.
night, right? To be there's the
Breaking the
in
rules.
club,
Yeah.
and then there's the not in. So the in
Yeah.
club was drinking beer and smoking.
Yeah.
Hey, did you ever wear a white T-shirt and roll the pack of cigarettes up on your side? Huh?
No.
Seriously?
I had a lot of buddies that did, but I
Oh,
never did.
I've wanted to do that. I don't even smoke cigarettes, but I'm like, I've always wanted to wear a white T-shirt just for the fun of it, and then roll a little pack of cigarettes up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't my age, right? Like that's that's your generation.
Yeah, there was, but there
Yeah.
wasn't,
Yeah. So So in high school, you did drink some.
Oh
did
yeah,
party
just,
some.
just a little bit. but
Right.
It wasn't until Dad died that it just overtook my life.
Right.
I ruined my life, So I've had that tough moment. And
You
then I've
ruined a
lost
season of your life.
Huh?
You ruined a season of your life.
Yeah.
Not your
yeah.
whole life.
Well, yeah. I
Right.
mean, at that time, my life may as well.
So were you
over,
married at 18? Got married
heavens,
after?
no.
Okay.
Heavens, no.
When did you get married?
Oh wow, JP's 50. Shortly before that.
Shortly before.
He would have been 25.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously through that period, so you're saying 20-some years of
Yeah.
alcoholism.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
in and out of the church, not in the church.
Oh no,
Gone.
once Dad died, I was out of church. Now my mom, she would still take JP,
Okay.
and he would go to church with her. But matter of fact, after Dad died, it got so bad they just took my name off the books.
It got so
no,
bad, like
yeah.
you got removed as a member.
Oh yeah, I got removed as a member. Yeah. So it wasn't too good. So, but yeah, from 18 to 38, I was just basically stewed. It was,
Right. And you had 2 kids during that time?
yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
what was the flip? Like what brought you like I got to change my life? Was there a moment? Was it like
Yeah.
what was it?
Was sitting on bags of milk in a veal barn waiting for it to mix, and I've seen a light way brighter than that one up there, and I started bawling. I mean, I had a breakdown, and I knew that if I didn't get sober, I was going to die. I mean, that was the way that message come across to me.
Right.
It wasn't about getting saved or back to God or anything like that.
Right.
It was just a matter of life and death at that point. Yeah.
So what did you do? Like, I mean, so again, if you were somebody out there, because we always want to help try to connect the dots. So if you're out there and this is everybody's story in life, right? Whether it's a big story or a small story, everybody gets to a decision place in life, right? And how we choose to go from those decisions sets a trajectory, So from your 18th birth, when you're 18 years old, your dad dies, you have a choice, right? Like which way you're going to go. Like that was a point where you could push into God or push away from God. And you chose. Now you're at this point, you're sitting in the veal barn, relaxing on the milk bags, and God shows up.
Yeah.
Right. And in that, though, God shows up in a way that just says, get sober, you're going to be dead.
Yeah.
Right. So talk through now the trajectory change, because, I mean, what did you went to AA? Did you get back involved in church? Like, talk to me about that. And how was the family with all of it?
Well, I went and talked to my my ex-wife. We were divorced by then, and I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I said, either I'm going to get They always talk about the crossroad. There's a I was either going to go one way or the other. I said, I don't know if I'm going to get sober. I don't know if I'm going to die. Because I was at the point, I hate to use this, but I was drinking 14, 16 beers a day, every day. And I was at the point when I would get off work in the afternoon from the veal barns, I'd drink 1 beer or 2 beers, and somebody'd have to drive me home. So my liver I was lucky I quit when I did, because your liver will heal. So God saved my life there, intervened. And I went to my boss, and he got me some help, and I started going to AA, and from that point on, I was really involved in it. But the only thing that was godly in my life was in AA, one of the steps is turn my will and my life over to the care of God. And I believed in God. I never not believed in God, but I was still running away from him because I was still living in that legalistic world where I knew I couldn't live up to it.
Right.
So I went to AA for, well, I don't attend much anymore, but
Right.
I would for first 20 years I was completely dedicated to it all the time, you know, and probably maybe even more years than that. And then I suppose that this is terrible. I don't even know the exact date. My mother-in-law passed away, and I think it was in 2011. And I just loved that woman to death. And I thought, I need to start going back to church. And I started going to church with my wife. And
she had been going without you?
yeah, there was periods when she didn't go too much either, just because it was probably a battle for her to go. She didn't go as much as she'd like to, you know, probably.
And where were the kids at all of this? Like, I'm trying to figure out where your sons were in this whole process of, were they going? Were they not going to church? Were they?
Not at the end, but when I was younger, like I said, my mom took my JP to church.
Right.
Tim never went with her that much.
Right.
But yeah, there wasn't much church going on, and so the kids didn't go much. And then I started back to Friends Church. I'd went once in a while with her, and I liked that church, and I liked the people, and it wasn't a sudden thing, but I gradually, as I went to church, I just made that commitment, you know.
Right.
And but yeah, through all those years, I look back at it now, and it just amazes me that God saved my life to bring me to that point. That's 25 years after I got sober.
Right.
And I still wasn't ready for that. I mean, it just amazes me.
You weren't ready for
how it
what?
works. Huh?
We weren't ready for what?
To go back to church or have a
okay.
commitment to God.
Right.
No.
Even after being sober for X amount of years.
Yeah, that didn't really.
And why do you think that is? Like here he shows up and there's a light. I mean, saves your life.
Yeah.
What was the disconnect of like, I should probably go to church?
Never even thought about it.
Really?
It was all about either get sober or die.
Right. But then once you're sober, right? Like you're going to AA every week. Because you're saying it took 20 years to get back into church?
25.
Yeah.
Probably.
So that's what I mean. It's like, did those two things not connect? And again, I'm not saying it as a judgmental piece. I'm just trying to help.
No.
You know, because people have moments like this always. And it's interesting for me to learn, what is it about God showed up, made a difference in my life, but church isn't a part of it? Like God is a part of it, because that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right? God is a part of it.
Yeah.
But church isn't, you know.
I have no idea. I think for me it was, I was thankful God showed up to save my life. But in the same respect, I'm going back to the church I grew up in.
Okay.
And I had a very loving family, aunts, uncles that was very close, and I knew they all loved me, but it wasn't a loving church.
Yeah. So that was why then. Yeah, because you just didn't see any relevance of going back to where you came from.
Yeah, you know, it's like that church. We're a little church out in the country, and it was so legalistic and everything. And my aunt, she was a great lady, you know, but I told her one time, I said, well, Aunt Vivian, well, I don't know why heaven's so big, because there's only 70 of us here at the church. It's like nobody else was going.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's the way I felt. It's like no other church in the community was any good but ours. Or that's kind of the way I felt about it.
Right. And so was there in 25 years, 20 years of being out of church, how many times were you invited to another church? Did the people invite you to church all the time?
No.
Shame on us for not inviting people to church.
Well, shame on me. I have that guilt.
No, I'm just saying,
No, I have that guilt today.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to me that we live in a world, right? People who knew you, knew what God did in your life, and there weren't people walking our journey with you saying, Kendall, like, you need to come. I know this church isn't working, but here's a church that's working, or here's a community that's working, that there weren't people. But I think a lot of times we just leave well enough alone. We don't really want to push the issue.
I don't know. Maybe enough people knew me in my past, might have been afraid to ask.
Why, are they afraid you're going to beat them up or something?
Well, not that I'd mean, I wasn't beyond that, but I wasn't beyond getting beat up either.
Yeah, no, right.
But
so you get back in. You're in the Friends Church, right? So now you're going with your wife. You find community, right? So you find a good place. You find a good group of people. How did you end up at Life?
Well, Friends Church kind of changed. And I still got a lot of great friends there and ties with the church down there. And I don't want to say the church was, it's still a good church, but there was no activity for like Bible studies. They're just, it was Sunday and that was all. And I'm retired now and I got time to go to Bible studies. And then I started going to Tad's Bible study, and I just felt more energy. I guess it's the energy level. And nothing against anybody down there, good people, and I always liked them, but there was no energy. And for me, it's just like probably the majority of the guys in our Bible studies way younger than me, most of them, but there's energy there, and I feel good about that.
Right.
I do.
And so how long have you been coming?
I don't know. You ask hard questions.
No, I mean, has it been 2 years?
I would guess it's been close to 3 years. It wasn't easy.
Right.
Let me tell you, it wasn't easy because Beck and I talked about it, and she wasn't all that happy about it.
Right.
But we worked through it, and I think now she's very happy with it.
Right.
Because it's helped our marriage.
Right.
And she goes to Peggy's Bible study. So, and she knew Peggy grew up in that church.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, that's nice that she's connected. She's met Brett and Sarah and Rachel and DJ. She just loves them. She loves going,
Right.
But she's hooked up there. Her dad's 95 years old, so she gets to see him every week. And she takes care of the youth singing, and one week a month does a little Sunday school class for the little ones. She loves it. And I wouldn't even ask her to leave. I mean,
no, for
she
sure.
wouldn't either. I mean,
right.
Hey, for you guys, it'd be great if she'd come because you'd have a fantastic Sunday school teacher for little ones. She loves little ones, and that's her gift. She's just good at it. So, but yeah, it's worked out. She enjoys coming to things here, and I think we've both grown out of it.
Right.
And another thing that happened was I had a man that was a couple years older than me that was a missionary, and when I first went back to church, he was the Sunday school teacher, and we went in that Sunday school class, and I didn't really like him to start with. Me and him got to be, he's my mentor, but he's in Florida now.
Okay.
So he left me. But I still stay in touch with him. I love him to death, but man, he helped me so much. And, I'm still looking for that person to have that connection with, and he was knowledgeable. Just him and his wife.
You're
just
looking
like,
for a mentor. You're looking for.
I'm looking for a mentor.
Okay.
But it's. I really feel blessed to be able to go to the Bible study, and I feel blessed with the Sunday school class. So that may have to serve that purpose, I guess.
Right. Instead of a single person, it might be a group of people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That are able to do that.
Yeah.
So if there's something over the past 3, 4, 5 years that God's revealed to you, God showed you, God's used you in certain ways, what's something you could point to say, like, wow, over the past few years, like, these are ways that God has used me. These are ways that I want God to use me. Like, what in the, because I think in the time that I've known you, from the first time I got to know you to now, that I've seen God use you in multiple different ways.
Well, I think the one thing I use is my story. I'm not afraid to tell my story, and I hope that frees people up. Because, it's just like you said last night, people come to you and say, oh, that person coming here to church, I don't know about that.
Judgmental people.
Yeah, and I don't really care.
Right.
I mean, you kind of caught that probably early on.
Right.
That don't make any difference to me. And there's nobody here that's any bigger sinner than I've been places a whole bunch of people in this church ain't never been.
You don't know.
Well, I'm not saying
I'm
it's
just
any worse,
kidding.
but it always gets me. I mean, people that raised in a church, stayed in a church,
Yeah.
and it's altogether different for them, and I don't care. I just, and then the thing, I've enjoyed doing the crosses for the baptism. It's just. I'm going to have to get some more wood, or we ain't going to have any more. We're out of chuck wood. But,
Right.
yeah, and there's just been opportunity to do things here and serve. I don't know. But, boy, I sure still got my shortcomings. I mean, I really went through the dump August about 2-3 weeks ago. I was down. I was having a little pity party for myself. And
Because why?
Well, my cancer, that I had to take a new drug for my cancer,
Right.
and I took screenings and stuff, and I let it overtake me when I should have been thankful, because I got people that can take care of me,
Right.
and I wasn't being thankful, and I was, I didn't really want anybody to see me, and then you preach a sermon and it's a convicting sermon, or I read something, man, I just felt so worthless, and I really did. I mean, it wasn't a good situation.
Right.
I didn't feel like my prayers were going anywhere. I read the Bible, it just is like, this ain't touching anything.
And what brought you out of it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just kept working towards it, maybe talking to other people, I think that helps.
Right.
And maybe some people gave me some reassuring words, and, because the other thing, I wasn't feeling good, and I started reading that book that Peggy's got them girls doing in Bible study, that Not a Fan. That didn't help any.
Why? Did you feel like that part was convicting?
Yeah.
That book is Kyle Idleman's book. Is that's his. Yeah, Kyle Idleman's book. Not a Fan is.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy the effect that it was having on me. I knew I had to do something. I had to get something changed and worked out. I'm going to go back and read it again now that but. And I got unsaved friends that I pray for every day, and it's like, I've tried to talk to them, and it's not going anywhere, and I felt bad, But I think I was pushing the wrong direction. I think that's where I wanted to go instead of where God wanted me to go. And it's like I shared in Bible study last night. This is one of the greatest Thanksgivings I've had. When my granddaughter comes home and her mom and dad don't go to church, and she said, "Grandpa, I'm going to Fellowship of Christian Athletes." I'm like, whoa, I was pretty happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're buying her a Bible and a daily devotional. Yeah, and she,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
so, you know, that's something I've been praying for. I pray that God will put role models in all my kids' lives, somebody that may have effect on them. And then my daughter-in-law, one of them said, "Well, we're going to start coming to your church." And I'm like, come on. So, you know, for that to happen. So I got to talk a little bit about Jesus to my granddaughter. I talked with my daughter-in-law a little bit. And my daughter-in-law's a recovering Catholic. So, well, I mean, she
Thing?
no, I don't mean. I mean, she raised her kids in the church, and then she got out of it, you know, and so I think man, it's great. I'd love for them to come.
Right.
So
Well, and I think that's I mean, from the outside looking in, I mean, if you look at your life, I mean, like, I think you were, I don't know this, I would assume this from what I've heard. Like, I think you were surprised that you got a living legacy text, you know,
that's humbling.
Right. But I mean, but it's also because you can't always see it. Like, you can't always see the difference that you're making. But if you say, okay, for 20 some years, you know, I'm off the chain, living this life, and now seeing that your granddaughter, I mean, JP, you know, like, things are, like, God is working. God's using you in the lives of, I call them functioning alcoholics. You know, there's a lot of men today that are functioning alcoholics, you know, guys that drink on a regular, but have learned to kind of still do life, that I think that you have ministry to and opportunities to minister to people like that. I think the teaching of vulnerability, you know, inside of that it's okay to let down some of your guards and let down some of your walls. It's okay to admit that, you know, you have issues, and, you know, and that, I mean, even what you shared last night in small group, that, like, hey, you know, all of these things happen, but I can celebrate one of the best Thanksgivings in my life because God's still working beyond me.
Don't you think we need that to keep our faith, though? Don't you think we have to see something good happening once in a while? I mean, you know, not that, you know, and then there's miracles happening around us. I mean, I'm big on that.
Right.
Everybody wants to make a coincidence out of it or this or that. But, man, there's miracles happening around us that we just want to say, "Oh, that's sweet."
Right.
No, God's working, you know?
Right.
I mean, that's the way I feel about it.
But I think
miracle setting here. Well, I mean, in some way, we're probably all miracles setting here.
Right. Well, and I think that that's something that you have also proved. Like, if you talk to guys in a small group, I mean, Kendall's the guy that'll send you a text, how you doing, check in on you. Like that's I mean, I think you are, from that standpoint, teaching all of us, you know, things that are vital in the end, you know, and I think that's the stuff that's really important.
But that's important to me, just to have that connection, because when I'm sending one of them texts, I don't know if it's so much about them or it is me just trying to make that connection. I mean, I need the people in my life. Now, not all of them are going to be the person that I'm probably vulnerable with. But
No,
they're
for
still,
sure.
I consider them good acquaintances and friends, and I just want to hear from them. You know, it's like Jay or Mike or Thad or, you know, any of them. It's I've really enjoyed getting to know those guys, you know, and it's just, I like it.
Yeah, but the idea, whether it's for you or for them, doesn't really matter. The idea is you're intentionally reaching out to meet, whether it's your need or their need. You're still, again, the story, what I would say, if I was going to evaluate your life, the story of your life that's been transforming is relationships. And so you keep seeking them. Relationships through AA, relationships through small group, relationships through, you know, the small group that you have today, relationships have been the transformational factor for you, so you continue to seek them out. And it's what we've talked about. Like, long-term change happens because people are in relationship.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, so you're a living proof of what relationship can do for you and what you in relationship with other people can do.
Yeah, and I think when I send a text or something, I just hope that maybe that'll be played forward and somebody said, well, maybe I'll send so-and-so a text.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
because every time I do it, I get a great reply, just if it's nothing more than thank you, and I really enjoy that, and I appreciate it.
Right.
And, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, so we're at the end. So if you could give words of wisdom, right? So if you could give words of wisdom to your younger generation, give words of wisdom to men, words of wisdom to people, what would be one thing that you would say, like, hey, this is important, don't forget to do this, out of all of the stuff that you've talked about, or maybe something you haven't, what would be something that you would?
Well, I don't know. Like you say, I mean, I'm still going back to that. Be open. Find somebody you can talk to and be open with it. Share your pain. I just, to me, that's the most important thing, you know. If you can't share it with your wife, share it with somebody else. I mean, that's
Right.
that's part of it. And especially, it's your second marriage. It's my second marriage. So things are going to come up, and I understand kind of what you're saying there, but that don't mean you can't share it with somebody else. I mean, that's probably the most important thing I can get, and for young kids, I don't even know how to approach them anymore. I mean, I love talking to them and stuff, but I don't know what words of wisdom.
Well, I think,
have.
again, I don't know even if it's words. I mean, I think you're showing, whether they believe this or not, I think the younger generation is craving relationships.
Well, I think they are too.
So they have tried to figure it out through social media, texting, things behind a screen. But I honestly think that there is a shift right now happening where we had a generation of young people that were behind screens and could go without social interaction for a while, could text and never talk on the phone, right? Like, I never want to talk on the phone to, if I want to talk to somebody, I'd love to see somebody face to face. I would love to not be so consumed by digital devices and be more engaged with people. So I think they're trying to find, and I think this is the cool thing, just like you saw Jackson with Homer, right? They are just like you're saying, we get to an age where we have more time, right? But who do you share it with? Who do you share that time with? Because our generation is running 1,000 miles an hour, right? And then you have this younger generation who's just trying to figure out where to get to. And so I always think it's cool when the younger generation can hook up with the older generation, because both of them are at places where you have time and resources that you didn't have when you were my age, and when these young people can attach to something like that, I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
And I think that more than even words is going to be something that's powerful.
Yeah, I really like Jaden and Jackson and
Right.
Jared and the P boys in particular, but younger people that I know, it just invigorates me, and I don't know, it's good for me.
That was my point.
I enjoy it. Yeah.
Right. You didn't have to give any words. It's just relationship.
Yeah.
And that you're wearing their hat today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid.
Yeah, getting paid. The first advertisement on the round table, AgroChem, for all of your
Farming.
whatever needs.
Yeah.
What kind of needs?
I don't know. We buy stuff for our business from AgroChem.
Yeah.
Like pumps.
Come on.
and
Give them a good pitch.
They got
there.
all kinds of stuff. We got a big
Yeah.
catalog.
There you go.
Yeah, they got all
you
kinds
got
of things.
it.
Yeah. Anything you need, go in and
Yeah.
see him at AgroChem.
Yeah.
Yeah. That way Kendall gets paid for his advertising.
Yeah. Yeah. I did have one thing though I wanted to share
Okay.
your series on prayer.
Okay.
And I don't know if this helped anybody else or not, but it was one scripture I come across that I'm having trouble time trying to, it's not very long, but I can't memorize it, so it makes me open my Bible every day.
That's a good
Psalm
thing.
25:16 through 18. Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted. Relieve the troubles of my heart and free me from my anguish. Look on my affliction and my distress and take away all my sins. I need that every day. I mean, and that, of course, that was on that sermon on using scripture and prayer.
Right.
Man, I can use that prayer every day.
Right.
It's just like, that's about everything in my life.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay, Jennifer, you want to send us out?
Sure. So if you're not part of our roundtable community, text the word podcast to 260-408-8383. We'll let you know when new podcasts drop. May I have questions for you? If you want to be on the roundtable, let us know that as well.
Yeah. So this will go out. So we'll put this out. I think it's tomorrow sometime. So when it goes out, if you're on, so your Facebook, you're scrolling through Facebook, and you see there'll be a clip on there. Make sure you do a couple things. One would be to share it. So we'd love for you to share it on your page to other people so we can get more people to be able to view it. We'd love for you to be able to like or comment. So if you click on the link, there'll be a link there that'll take you to the YouTube so you can be able to watch it. So anybody that wants to know what Kendall looks like, you can go on there, because that we would always encourage you, if you see these clips and if you're listening to this and you don't know Kendall, click on there. That way you can get, this is who he is. You can come up and say hi on a Sunday morning, or if you see him out in the community. But when you're on our YouTube, leave a comment. We'd love to hear, comments about the podcast, or, just, whatever you want to be able to put there. We'd love for you guys to be able to do that. Don't forget, if you see Kendall on a Sunday morning, come up and say hi. Make sure you introduce. Kendall's a great guy. Lots of wisdom, lots of opportunities.
Don't go too far.
I'm just saying, you are, again, I think a lot of things that you have to offer are good for people. So, and again, you're at a season of life where you can have the opportunity to invest in a lot of people. And I think that, that's a really cool thing.
I enjoy meeting new people. I really do.
Right. So come up and say hi. So again, thanks for watching. We'll see all you guys next week.
Bye.